So, welcome to the second appointment with the YouTube DexWorld channel. As you know, this channel aims to give you information on how the technological improvements that we are living now will end up to a very strong decentralization of services all over the world and all over the fields. In order to understand how this can be achieved, is good to start with the history of innovation, so to understand why and how we are on a steady, strong, exponential trend in technology. Technology is something that always existed in human history, but just imagine prehistorical people discovering the fire, and then discovering the wheel, and then discovering the paper, and be able to create the first books, so to store for decades the knowledge of the humanity. All those new discovery occurred in centuries, and so it takes a lot of time to have a technological break in the prehistory. And then things start to accelerate a bit when people discover the gunpowder, when people start to work better with the melt iron or melt metals, so to create more sophisticated tools like for agriculture and so on. And but in this very early age that we can call pre-industrial era, that lasted several centuries up until the 18th centuries, basically, life didn't change so much for most of people on Earth. Very rural, just working with living with the sun and the moon. We're not able to be awake during the night and so on, and so it was not so. I mean, there was not a lot of possibility to change things, because for in lives was very difficult to. Each life was kind of monotone, always basically the same thing. Not absolutely the worst way to live, because maybe it was better, I don't know. But the point is that there were a lot of changes in the lifetime of a person. But then we have two big innovations that change the world forever, which are the electricity and the combustion engine. These arrived in the 18th century, and when we start to understand that we are on an exponential trend, because after the electricity arrived, and especially after the combustion engine arrives, everybody quit the countries to go in town to work. New factories arrived in town, and that's why there is a big change in the economics, a big change in social life that is driven, as usual, by the technical improvements. And this change basically, now the change between one technical break and the other, the time lapse between the two major breaks is no more the centuries, it's not more about the centuries, but it's about maybe decades. And this increase even more, the speed increase even more in the last centuries, because starting from the World War II and the World War I, basically we got the radio. After the radio we got the television. After the television we got the computer, and the first flights, and so the first railway, and so on and so on. So we saw a lot of big changes in a very short period of time compared to what we had in the past. Still, we are kind of slow compared to what happened today. And so, but the world starts to realize that we are in an exponential trend. And we can also understand why we are in this exponential trend if we consider how much a job skill can last in your world. If you were a craftsman, for instance, in the Middle Age, you were able to learn, to teach to your son, and maybe also and the son to his own son, the same skills, and the same skills were lasting for decades and for several generations. Now, starting in the 19th centuries, into 20th centuries, this is completely different because we have now a very different mindset where, in generally speaking, the job of a father is obsolete for the son, meaning that the son is more leans more towards something newer. For instance, he can work in some new field, building cars, or I don't know, working in cinema industry, something like that. That didn't exist for the father at the time of the father. And so we can see that now we have basically generations that are completely, we have job skills that last basically one generation, and maybe changes a bit during the lifetime of a career, but not so much. A person can be a lawyer, can be something, no matter which jobs, he can keep his job forever for his the lifetime of his career. Now, starting with the web, basically, at the end of the century, before 2000, we started to see a strong acceleration with the web arrives and the first static page of internet, the mails and so on. So we started to see really something moving in a much faster way, and this paved the way for the exponential movement in which we are really today. But if we cut the timeline in 2000, we can say that we can assume for this video that in the past, before 2000 is the past, after 2000 is the future, even if we are already in 2024. And basically we can say that before 2000 we got a shrinking of the time between two big technological breaks, but we never went under the decades, basically. And then we started from 2000 to have a huge acceleration. And this acceleration is going to continue, is for sure, because there are no way to stop it. And it's important to understand that, because if you understand that, we will be able, especially the most important point, to see why this is ineluctable. It's not possible it's unstoppable. And so you have to cope with somehow. And we'll be in this channel, we will guide you through the major innovation, and especially why those innovation will decentralize a lot of services, as you know. But in order to understand that, you need to have a very clear idea on why we are on this exponential age. So we did the half of the job because we talk about the past. Stay tuned for the next video of the playlist, because we will talk about the much more interesting part about the future of innovation, and this will be even more fascinating because, as you know, we had, for instance, artificial intelligence arrived overnight and changing the face of the world forever.